We have Grandmaster Wesley So taking on the world champion Domaraju Gukesh here at the Super United Blitz 2025 in Zagreb. You can see Wesley being very focused before the game. Gukesh had played an amazing rapid event, finishing ahead of the field. Then in Blitz, he began with his first game against Wesley on day 4 of the event, which he lost, and then his entire Blitz event on day 1 was not particularly great. Now we come to day 2. This is the first game of the second day, that is overall the 5th day, the final day of the Super United tournament here in Zagreb, and Gukesh would want to start really well here, and his opponent Wesley So is someone whom he would like to beat, and we have Michael Khodorkovsky here to make the first move. He plays pawn to e4 and wishes both the players good luck. Wesley takes the pawn back. Everyone's ready for the game, and let's get it rolling. A handshake and off we go. 5 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. Pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight comes out, knight to c6, bishop c4, bishop c5 played, the Italian c3, the knight comes out, and the slow Italian with d3, white castles. Gukesh plays d6, not castling too soon yet, rook e1, and now he's castled. Wesley can go for the sharp lines starting with bishop g5, but he decides to play h3 and h6 is played. Knight comes out to d2, rook e8. Notice that Wesley is not really afraid of this move, knight a5, because of b4. Now he's threatening knight a5, so bishop drops back to make space for itself on c2. Saves the bishop, pawn pushes forward, he takes it. So all seems like opening theory, well prepared, well rehearsed. Defending here, knight to g3 coming in. The knight is looking at the slightly softened f5 square. And Wesley now trying to focus totally on the game. Knight to g3 goes, queen d7, and Gukesh controls the f5 square here. Wesley jumps with his knight. He wants to go here. Look at the two bishops. If they get opened up, it will be dangerous. Rook a d8, a good move. And Wesley jumps in with his knight to f5. Now, an important moment of the game is arriving, because sacrifices do loom large on these two squares here with knight g7, knight h6. The bishop also looking here. Not to forget that pawn pushing forward will open up the bishop. So Gukesh must take care, and for example, a move like king h8 is important here, because otherwise it's not so easy to find a move for Gukesh. If you go g6, knight takes h6 is hanging. If you try to kind of save the pawn, bring your bishop back, the queen enters in, and this becomes even more dangerous because the queen starts putting pressure here with knight h6 in the air. So Gukesh rightly taking his time here, thinking about what he must do. One idea, of course, is to go knight e7, but then he loses the e5 pawn. He goes queen e6, and this looks like a big mistake, because now you see the rook is opposite the queen, and Wesley, without even much thought, pushes his pawn forward. Wesley is like, this is a move I really wanted to play anyhow. And look at this. If you take the pawn, then rook takes e6, of course, is game over. So you can't do that. Then with Gukesh, you would think, okay, e4 makes a lot of sense to keep this closed. You have like great control over that square. But Wesley now has a very powerful idea, which is to play f3. And the pawn is being attacked here. You cannot really deal with it. If you push the pawn, you lose it. And Wesley is completely winning here with f3. So maybe Gukesh has to move his queen away. And perhaps the move that he must find is queen d7, so that, now he can take, he plays it. He plays queen to d7, brings his queen back. But look at this now, guys. The knight is attacking these pawns. We had mentioned about it. The bishop is here. Can we launch a completely devastating attack here? Look at Wesley so calmly calculating here, looking at the king side, of course, because that's where the juice is. Of course, if you take d takes e5, knight e5, black is super happy. He gets everything here. Knight is defending the king. But the most amazing move here is knight takes g7. What a sacrifice, attacking the rook. King takes. And you would wonder, what's the next move here? Well, the move is, boom, bishop takes h6. King takes h6. And now comes the deadly idea, queen d2 check. And you will see that 1, 2, and 3 attackers in the attack. So king g7, queen g5. And wherever the king goes, knight jumps into f5 with an absolutely devastating attack. It's game over here. So this is what Wesley is calculating. Knight g7, king g7, boom, bishop h6, and then bringing the queen up. Not an easy line to calculate, especially when you're facing Gukesh. But will Wesley be bold enough to execute this? There are also other ideas which are much more calm in nature. He's going for the knight. He chops off the pawn on g7. King g7. Boom! Bishop h6 taken as well. Wesley so in his element. What a beautiful attack there by the American Grandmaster. Gukesh now calculating if he can really take the bishop. But not really. All black pieces are completely, like, they look beautiful, but they are far away from the king. And look at this check. No one's coming to save it. And this bishop and the queen are just killer pieces, with queen entering in and the knight coming in. It's just enough material to keep the attack brewing and to finish it off. So Gukesh now calculating whether he can take the bishop or not. But if he cannot, then he would be thinking, oh, could I go to g8 here? But then knight h5 jumps in, attacking the knight on f6. And if you take here, I move in with the king, and once again with these 3 pieces, it's super difficult to attack. So Gukesh thinking, wow, what a game this has turned out to be. We are just in move number 19 and already Gukesh down to his last minute on the clock. He has been thinking for this move, and an amazing attack. Just one mistake. It was all theory. One mistake, and Wesley so managed to simply crack through Gukesh's defenses there. And now Gukesh, for him it's clear. There's one more idea. You can try and go king h8, but I think the attack is pretty straightforward. You go knight h5, you remove this knight. He does go king h8, and Wesley so he can try to bring the bishop in with bishop to f5, but maybe that allows queen e7 or queen d6, trying to somehow defend. So bishop g5 played. This is a beautiful move. Very nice move actually by Wesley, because there was also knight h5, but then rook g8 and black is winning. Wow. So bishop g5 was important. Queen e6. Gukesh comes into that square on e6 with his queen. And now, can we go bishop f5? Can we go knight h5? These are the moves Wesley is calculating. There's also a potentially interesting move, queen d3, trying to checkmate here after taking the knight, but e4 does kind of block it. So he goes bishop f5, queen d6, and now knight h5. Oof. Look at these pieces. My goodness. The way they are attacking, maybe Gukesh has to drop back his knight to h7 to stop the attack from blowing up. Like, this is a mate. Takes, king attacked, king here, Queen h7, king f8 and queen h8 mate. Look at how the bishop takes away this escape route. Gukesh down to 50 seconds on the clock. And he is definitely uncomfortable here. It's also start of a new day. He would have loved to begin with a better game than this. But this is what it is right now. Wesley, and look at the calmness on his face. I mean, I've been talking about the calmness, but it's incredible. Bishop takes, king takes, knight. Ooh, queen g4. Threatening bishop d8 and a mate here. So Gukesh blocks it with his queen. And Wesley goes queen h4. King comes back to g8. And now can we go knight f6 check and pick up this rook is the big question. But maybe it's something where, you know, it might be just giving up your attacker a bit too cheaply. For example, king g7, knight e8, rook e8. So he goes rook e3. I love this move. He wants to swing his rook over. Wow. Getting the fourth attacker in the game. Pawn takes pawn. But now rook to g3 is an incredibly strong move. Gukesh goes rook e4, knight to f6 check, attacking here. If you take, bishop takes is a check, king g7, and well, just take this on e4 is pretty strong. There's also bishop h6. He takes on e4, and Gukesh resigns, shaking his head there. What a game by Wesley. So I must say, one of the most pretty attacks we've seen, with two pieces sacrificed on the king side, and Wesley so showing that he's not only a solid grandmaster, but when given opportunity, he can attack very, very ruthlessly.